Hello guys, this is Karimade. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in this tutorial we are going to understand where to use PenTool and where to not use PenTool. Make sure you switch back your Photoshop, sit back, wait, and then let's begin. I will start by dragging some images in Photoshop, which are these ones. Drag them and then drop them inside Photoshop. But before we begin, you have to understand where to use PenTool, which is this tool. And its shortcut is letter P. You can press on your keyboard letter P, and then to give you PenTool, you have to make sure it's this one. And this one is the one we are going to use. The PenTool, we usually use it while we are doing or drawing smooth edged path in Photoshop or anywhere else. As you can see, we have this. It has smooth edges and they are also sharp kinda. But on this image we're going to focus on this, but look at this. This is not smooth edge, and on this one also it's kinda smooth. And I start by going around and select this object. We are going to cut it from this background, and then we deal with this one. Thirdly, we end up in this one. Let's begin. What you have to keep in mind, PenTool usually work with point A and point B. You have to make sure you are starting with a point A and drag to point B. Let's zoom out by pressing Ctrl negative. To cut this anchor, you have to hold your Alt key on your keyboard and then cut. Let's zoom in a little bit. You have to make sure you're doing it well. To cut this handle, you can press hold Alt key and then click on it, and then it will disappear. Okay, let's come back. And I'm done with the selection of path, which is this one. It usually appear here. Or you want to increase your work path, you can press on this small icon there, and then you can increase your thumbnail like in the way you want. Also, we do the same here. Panel and then increase our thumbnail. As you can see, I have my path and I have my object, like the real image. And the next thing we are going to do, I'm going to press right click and then make selection. But before we continue, you have to understand this part. Feather radius, while you are dealing with the smooth edged path, you have to leave it in 0. Do not go beyond 2. If you go beyond 2, it will start blurring the edges outside. And then I can press OK, and then what I will do a layer mask, and as you can see, my object is well selected and fixed. And the next thing we are going to do, I'm going to show you the difference between the smooth edged path and the edges which are not smooth. On this image we are going to deal with this part. Let me first crop this image. Start by cropping. Yeah, let's have her like this. I start by duplicating the image. Switch this off. Make sure I have my black and white color. And then let's take our PenTool. Look at this. Okay, let's come back. As you can see, I'm done with the selection of my path using PenTool on this image. But the thing we are going to do are also press right click with my PenTool and then make selection with a feather radius of 0 pixels, and then OK, and then layer mask. Look at this. this is not good for the image with the kind of stuff, things like this. As you can see, we need her like this, we need her with this hairstyle, like the weight is nice. Now we need to end up with a nice hairstyle like this. The thing you do, you have to watch my recent tutorial about quick selection tool. You're going to understand how to use quick selection, and the quick selection you usually deal with this kind of image or this kind of hairstyle, not PenTool. I hope now you see the difference of the PenTool on the smooth edged part, which is like this. This is clear, very clear. We have our sharp edges and everything, but on this image we are losing something. We have destroyed her hairstyle, as you can see, and then this is not good. Make sure you watch my recent tutorial about quick selection. The link will be in description. And the other thing we are going to talk about is this object. It's a cap, as you can see. You are going to understand how to use PenTool and remove the inside edges and cut it out from this background. I will keep my point A and point B right from the recent moves we have made in on the other object and images. When you want to delete PenTool, you can press Enter. PenTool path, sorry. When it's like this, you can press Enter and then remove them. I drag my PenTool from point A to point B. You have to make sure when you want to cut like this handle, you can hold your Alt key and then remove it. We fast forward this and come back in a few. As you can see, my cap is well selected. And the next thing we are going to do, we are going to select also inside. I'm having this path, it's an outside part of the cap, and then the next thing we're going to do is to select this part of inside. But before we continue, you have to understand this. When the PenTool path looks like this, this means the path is crossed, and then when it's like this, like from point A to point B, it's not crossed. Like the time I want to come here and start selecting, as you can see, I'm still using on the same path of the PenTool. And what you have to do when it's like this, I mean when you want to select like the other parts of the image, not having that trouble, you can come here and then do one click on the PenTool, and then you can come and then create your path. As you can see, I will do Ctrl Z to go back. We don't need this. And then my path is well crossed, and then that means I can start the other point. I can start my point A to point B inside the cap. Let's come back. As you can see, my second path is well selected. And then what we do, I just do one click on my PenTool. And then the next thing we are going to do, I will press right click and then make selection with my feather radius at 0 pixels, and then OK. As you can see, the selection of both parts is well selected. What I do now is to press layer mask. Let's go back and I show you something. Let's forget about this, right? And before you do selection, you have to make sure they are all active, not like this. This one is the only path which are active, and this one is not active. Look at this. If I press right click and then make selection and then OK, this selection is going to appear only on this part. I think you get that. And what you have to do is just to go to PenTool and then do one click, and then they are not all active, they are in disactive mode. And then when you press right click and then make selection, okay, and then they're all selected, as you can see. And there is a other option we usually meet in Photoshop when the selection is inversed, like this. When I press Ctrl Shift I, my selection is inversed, and if I press layer mask, I'm going to cut the inside object, and I need to stay with this inside object. I need to have this object, not a PNG inside the background. What you do, you have to make sure your selection is not an inverse option, and when it's like this, you can go to select and then inverse, or press Shift Ctrl I or Shift Command I and then inverse, and our selection will look like this. And then layer mask, as you can see, my cap is well selected. And to prove that, I will drag one of the image, which is this. I will drag it and drop it inside Photoshop, and I'm going to add this cap, to drag and drop this cap here, just to prove you the pen tool is working. I can hold my Ctrl key and then select this layer mask, and then create a new layer, and then I can choose chocolate from outside. We call this eyedropper tool. It's an eyedropper tool. We usually use it while we are picking colors right from the objects or from the outside image. And then this is not dark. Let's make it dark like this. And then I get to my paint bucket tool and fill this cap like this. I press my Ctrl D just to deselect, and go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Yeah, kinda like this. That was too much, like this. And then okay, what I do, I will send it backwards, and then hold my Alt and Shift in 2019 Photoshop just to reflect it. But what I need is a shadow. What I need is a shadow. I press enter, and then what I do, I will do multiply. The next thing I will do, I just do like this. Reduce the opacity, squeeze it, Ctrl T, Alt and Shift just to squeeze it. And I'm going to create also a new layer. Cancel, sorry for that. Create a new layer, and I will take my brush, press use selection. Take my brush and also drop some color inside, and then I do blur, filter blur, Gaussian blur, and then let's make it look real. You have to make sure you are holding your Alt and Shift key in 2019 software just to squeeze the shadow like this, in this way. I press Ctrl U for the hue and saturation. Cancel. Let's first multiply this, and then I can reduce its opacity. Ctrl T, drag it, hold my Alt and Ctrl key, kinda make it look like real. And as you can see, I have my object. I have my object and have recreated to the other background, as you can see. I think now we understand where to use PenTool and where to not use PenTool. You cannot use PenTool in this kind of way, but you can use PenTool while you are working on the object which look like this or look like this. I mean the smooth edge path object is the one we use where we use PenTool on. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to do subscribe for the upcoming courses of Illustrator and Digital Paint, and don't forget to comment down what you want me to discuss about in my next courses. I'll be there for you. Feed the odds.